Hey, good morning. Welcome to Resource Prepping. I'm your host, Greg. News around the world is escalating dramatically towards war. Dramatically towards war. And I want to get right to it. First off, let's start in Pakistan. 220 million people were without power for a day. They say it was planned. I say, bull crap. If you lose power, you don't necessarily lose the internet and telephone service and everything else like that. Everything was shut down. Everything. Totally black. 220 million people in the dark, unable to talk, unable to find out what's going on. And Pakistan is not our ally. Pakistan is not really a good country for reliability, honesty, and integrity. And they are nuclear armed. These are the people that supplied North Korea with the things to build nuclear weapons. These are the same people that supplied Iran with nuclear materials and equipment to build their bombs. Now Pakistan is financially bankrupt through mismanagement and corruption and weather circumstances and everything else. They said it was planned. I say bull. They lost the internet. You don't necessarily lose the internet when you lose power. They lost telephone service. They lost everything, and people, 220 million of them, were wandering around in the dark wondering when the lights were coming on. They said it's planned to save power because they buy power from other countries. Even though they are nuclear capable, they can't produce enough electricity to supply their own. My question to you is, if the country is bankrupt, which it is, the International Monetary Fund says, wait a minute, we're not going to give you any money to keep you afloat until you get things right. How long will it be before they sell a nuclear weapon to Russia or on the black market or to another country to pay their bills? We don't know how many they have exactly, but they're always going after India and other countries around them to try and cause some commotion. That is a very big place to keep an eye on. And in the last presidential election, Imran Khan, who is a radical leftist Muslim who wants a holy war and was in charge of nuclear weapons, he was put out of power, thankfully, arrested, thankfully, attempted assassination twice. They screwed that up. So he's on the loose inside Pakistan, stirring up the hardcore left Muslims saying we want a holy war. Keep an eye on that. Number two, United States and Israel just had the largest joint military action to date in history. And once again, Benjamin Netanyahu is saying Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. The United States, in conjunction with the Israeli Air Force and naval forces, along with battle tanks, simulated a raid on the underground nuclear facility in Iran. Now, Iran is not blind to this. They have moved missiles up top facing Israel and said, anything happens, lights out in Israel. And we may do it anyway. So keep an eye on that. Benjamin Netanyahu is the president, premier of Israel, prime minister. And he said they're not going to have it. And Mr. Netanyahu is usually pretty good about keeping those promises. So keep an eye on that. Pakistan could pop off at any time just because they're loose cannon. But this is a planned event. Keep an eye on that. Now, Russia and South Africa are going to hold conferences and now have announced joint military exercises. South Africa has been in a downward spiral for a decade at least, and they have their own problems because now in the presidency, you have the radical communists that are committing genocide against white farmers who produce South Africa's food to feed the people. Not only is there famine going on in South Africa and chronic food shortages, because what the South African Congress has said is, hey, if you're not black, you don't own it, and we're taking it. So South Africans have been stealing legally owned white farmland, but don't have the capability to produce the crops needed to feed the country. So South Africa has been cozying up for Russia for some time. Joint military actions there. Putin will probably be handing some money out to South Africa if he can to have naval bases set up there, which is significant. Lastly, and this is very, very significant, Germany has been under a lot of pressure to supply their battle tanks, the Leopard 2, which is a significant upgrade over the Russian tanks and what the Ukrainians have. The Ukrainians saying, what are you waiting for? Send it to us and we can turn the tide on this war. Give it to us now. Germany has been stalling. France has been saying, yeah, send it to them. Poland has now said, if you don't send it, we will. Germany has announced 14 battle tanks, Leopard battle tanks, which is a significant upgrade over the Russian tanks. It's announced that they will send them, train the Ukrainian soldiers, and send battle tanks into Ukraine probably this spring. Before they did that, the Chancellor of Germany said, listen, we're not going this alone and making ourselves a target. I want other people, other countries, to make the same commitment. England is now going to send, okay, we're going to send our battle tanks, 14, to Ukraine. We're going to train them there. France has said, okay, we're going to send their tanks, their battle tanks in there. And now, Biden, along with that incompetent Blinken, is inking a deal for at least 14 Abrams tanks, which is the best in the world, to send them to Ukraine, as well as training them. And now we have sent more arms and money than the initial deployment cost to Afghanistan. We have also depleted our arms so significantly that a military report came out and said, if we go to war in China and the South Pacific, we will be out of ammo in a week. We can't do it. This is how incompetent these people really are, and leaving us wide open. But getting back to Ukraine and the supplies and everything else, there has been a major overhaul in Ukraine, which is totally corrupt. Up to 15 ministers have been fired or arrested for corruption. What a surprise. You have one of the most corrupt countries in the world receiving billions of dollars. People that weren't billionaires before are billionaires now because they've siphoned off all the money, supplies, and arms. And people here in the United States, especially in the Senate and Congress, have finally woken up and said, hey, wait a minute, we're sending you all this money. How's come everybody's buying real estate on the Riviera and only 30% of the arms and money is accounted for? What's going on? So Volodymyr has sacked some ministers for corruption and said, see, we're making an effort to find where the U.S. money is, but he's the one that's pocketing a good chunk of it. So now they're inking another $21 billion arms deal to send to Ukraine, all on American taxpayer dime. What's even more significant about this announcement, sending the Leopard tanks, The very next question the chancellor faced in a live press conference is, when are the aircraft, when are the airplanes, when are the jets going to be sent next, and pilots trained to fly advanced aircraft to secure the air? And the chancellor of Germany said, no, we're not going to send any airplanes. That's off the table. No boots on the ground by anyone. That's off the table. But they're already saying we want more and we're hedging more. In response to the Leopard tanks being sent by Germany as well as other countries, a frigate has now turned around and headed to the Bahamas, which is nuclear capable and has hypersonic missiles on board to be stationed off the coast of America in the Atlantic, in international waters. The former president of the Soviet Union says, hey, we're sick of this. We're in a proxy war with the United States and the rest of NATO. Let's get the ball rolling and defeat these people once and for all. That's from Russia. Lavrov, the diplomat who makes Blinken look like the idiot he is, saying, hey, we're in a proxy war with NATO and the United States, and with the announcement of these battle tanks, this is pretty much an act of war, and we've had enough. Bluffing? I don't know. But the fact that the frigate that was headed to South Africa for joint military maneuvers was turned to the west and is headed there off the Bahamas now to sail up the coast of the United States is very provocative. It could happen anytime, folks, and I'm not preaching gloom and doom. I'm preaching reality. I'm telling you what exactly is going on. The incompetent Joe Biden is now under scrutiny for having top secret or classified documents all over his house, total corruption on the FBI, and a top FBI official was just arrested for collaborating with the Russians secretly. And he was the one that was leading the Russian collusion against Trump and some of his outside people, making innocent people, completely, totally innocent people, look guilty and placed under suspicion. And he's the guy that's working with the Russians. There's a lot going on, folks. Anything could happen at any time. International monies are changing. The South American countries are forming their own one currency to remove the US dollar from South America and trade in their currency. If a blockchain money starts and the United States currency, the dollar, is out, especially like in Ecuador, which trades strictly in American dollars, but Chile, Peru, Argentina, Venezuela, if they all put their heads together, which by the way are now socialist, if they all put their heads together and say, here, we're going to form one currency and we're going to back it by gold or something else substantial, a huge dent in American currency could happen. And the dollar that's already toilet paper will be nothing more than confetti, especially if they start trading in other currencies instead of the petrodollar. A lot going on, folks, a lot going on. Just telling you the reality of the fact. If you say it's gloom and doom I'm preaching, then you're denying the facts. If you're saying, oh, he's just this, he's just that, scaremonger, I'm just telling you what it is. I'm not afraid of anything except the corruption in the White House and the government that could easily just say, hey, we're just gonna do what we want, to hell with the Constitution, backed by the liberal Democrats that are unconstitutional anyway, a majority of them, and we're just going to declare martial law and that's it. Far-reaching, far-fetched, but who knows what this buffoon is capable of doing. In the meantime, please, please, please get yourself right with God. I had a very interesting day Tuesday. 3 job interviews at once. One of the interviewers got hung up at a meeting, but at the same place while I was scrolling, waiting for this person to show up in an interview that never happened. Another person popped in and said, "Hey, I heard you're looking for a job. Mind if I sit down and talk to you?" So God does work in his own time and his own reality. So instead of having 3 interviews, which went to 2, I ended up having 2, but not with the one. And I was already offered a job, so I was told through the recruiter. Good day for me. You have faith in God. You ask for help. You remember the Lord on a daily basis. And most of all, be respectful and just talk to him like he's your best friend, which he is. Good things will happen. Get yourself right with God. Make atonement for your sins. And then the next step is absolutely get baptized, submerged in water in the name of Jesus Christ. Don't mean to go so long. Very busy day, and my phone's working today. Might as well make use of it while I can. Thank you for liking and subscribing to Erie Shores Prepping. I certainly do appreciate you. I certainly do thank you for your prayers. A lot of things still going on here, including my mouth. Greg out.